this video, after finishing up our hike in Torres del Paine, located in Chile, we'll show you how we spent our time exploring the Argentinian side of Patagonia. If you want to see our 11-day backpacking trek there, click on the card or in the links in the description below. We traveled from Puerto Natales to El Calafate by bus, crossing the border into Argentina. It's a 5-hour bus ride and it's a lot easier than you think. There are bio stops along the way, so not to worry. After staying in El Calafate, we continued our journey by bus to El Chalten, the trekking capital of Argentina, so we could hike the Fitz Roy. From our home base in El Calafate, we headed to Glaciar Perito Moreno, taking the public shuttles that leave from the bus terminal, about an hour-and-a-half drive. Check the weather and pick the best day to visit. It's less crowded if you take the early afternoon bus, and chances of seeing the glacier calf is higher as the sun hits the ice. You can stop at the navigation booth where you get dropped off to book a boat tour for an up-close look at the glacier. There are about 3 to 4 kilometers of metal boardwalk trails that follow the length of the glacier. It's also wheelchair accessible in the middle section with an elevator and a wide boardwalk. We brought our lunch and enjoyed it sitting on the many benches looking at the glacier. The next day, we took a short half-hour walk from our hostel to the Sendero Laguna Nimez, a bird sanctuary just off Lago Argentino. The flamingos were snoozing when we got there, so visit early in the morning or at sunset when they're a bit more active. A little bit about El Calafate. It caters to the well-heeled tourists in contrast to the hiker towns we visited, from the pretty main street lined with gorgeous lavender and roses everywhere to the restaurants and the tourist shops. It was quite the sight to see a local gaucho running his horse down a side street, reminding you that this is still wild Patagonia at heart. The asador or barbecue-style restaurants are also very popular here, and many will have their charcoal pits at the front of the restaurant windows to entice you. There are chocolaterias and cafes everywhere on the main street, and it was no hardship to sample a few of them. The chocolates in general aren't quite the same as the smooth Swiss style, but we found the Calafate-flavored chocolates to be quite good at Dulce Lugar in particular. Our favorite cafe was the Don Luis Cafeteria. There are a few locations, but we liked the one just off Avenue del Libertador on 9 de Julio for its quiet ambiance. We gave the empanadas and alfajores 2 thumbs up. Next stop, El Chalten, the hiking capital of Argentina and the famous Fitz Roy Mountains. This route is very scenic as you cross the Patagonia steppe and gaze at Mount Fitz Roy as you get closer to town. Most accommodations and trailheads are within walking distance from the bus terminal as it's a very small village. Our first warm-up hike was the Mirador de los Condores. It's under 3 kilometers round trip to a gorgeous viewpoint of the town and the Fitz Roy in the distance. Sunrise shots from here would be great. Despite being short, it's super windy at the first viewpoint and we didn't make it to the second, so everyone turned back because of the wind. The Sendero Laguna Torre trailhead is just off San Martin, right by our Airbnb. It's a moderate hike, primarily due to the distance, and there aren't really any tricky areas to navigate, even when you get to the laguna. The paths are wide and well marked with great views all around. It was also not as busy and people dispersed once you got on the trail. had some of my favorite empanadas by the Laguna for lunch, and we enjoyed our view of the peaks. The most popular hike and what draws hikers here from around the world is the Sendero Laguna de los Tres. There are two ways to do this hike. Either hike out and back from town at the end of the main street, or you can take a shuttle bus to Rio Electrico and hike one way down towards town like we did. You don't save on distance, but you do shave some elevation and avoid the long 3-kilometer hike uphill from town. You can also gaze at the Glaciar Piedras Blancas en route to the main attraction, which you wouldn't see if you started the hike from town. It does get quite crowded at the peak, and long queues form as the trail narrows to one-way traffic. It was overcast and the Cerro Fitz Roy was covered in clouds when we got there, but it was still impressive. There's a sister lagoon to the left if you want to explore some more. It's pretty much downhill after the peak. All of these hikes only have outhouses near the campsites that you pass en route. Just remember I told you, it's something you can't unsee, so be prepared or follow the leave no trace principles if you choose to go elsewhere. We enjoyed a dinner to celebrate our hike at El Muro restaurant, not far from when you exit the trail. We highly recommend it. Even the waiter was so impressed by the steak Dave ordered, he took a photo of it. The village of El Chalten is purely geared towards hikers and climbers given its proximity to the Fitz Roy. The name Chalten is a word that means smoking mountain because of the clouds that often cover the peaks and resembles a volcano. After a dispute with Chile, it was awarded to Argentina in 1985. You'll see backpackers and camper vans everywhere. I've never experienced such a windy town. It sits in a valley, so the wind rips right through it quite often. I think the number of panaderias or bakeries per capita is probably the highest here too. We tried almost all of them, and the empanadas make a great portable lunch. This tiny panaderia was our favorite though. It had the best tasting empanadas and I think the cheapest too. They sell out by mid-afternoon, so get them early. We also had the best alfajores right here in El Chalten at Chalteños. They're made on site and it only costs just over $1 each. Yummy! There are bars and restaurants up and down the main street and a lively night scene too. It was now time for us to head to the end of the world as we made our way back to Calfate and boarded our flights to Ushuaia, land of fire. Some tips for this part of our trip. With the blue dollar exchange rate, it made Argentina very affordable if you have US dollars or euros. Again, like Chile, we stayed at places close to the bus terminals so we wouldn't need taxis to get to our accommodations. Demand for places in El Chalten is particularly high, so book as early as you can to get the best locations and rates, and try to get the ones that have flexible cancellation policies. In Calfate, our hostel was a straight shot about 400 meters down from the bus terminal, although when you exit the terminal, it feels like you just got dropped off in the middle of nowhere. The staff here is so friendly and welcoming. We were able to get a free upgrade on Booking.com to a private room and bath. You pay in cash or pesos on arrival, and as we only arrived in Argentina that day, they let us head to town to get our money exchanged after we checked in. There's a large kitchen that you can use with communal fridges, and a complimentary continental breakfast is included as well. They will even pack you a to-go breakfast if you have an early departure. There's a laundromat a couple hundred meters away, and you get a discount if you stay at the hostel. A supermercado is a 2-minute walk away, and the butcher is great. He sliced up some cheese and salami for 2 sandwiches, and it cost us only $2. A bit about money. We found prices to be very affordable from an outsider perspective when you convert using the blue dollar rate, which is what they call the unofficial tourist exchange rate. You won't get it at the cambio in town, but instead at just about any retailer. It was hard to reconcile the rampant inflation in the country in this part of Argentina, but you can help by supporting any local vendors where possible. We found many places in El Chalten to have better rates than in El Calafate, but that can change quickly. In El Chalten, we got off the bus at the terminal and walked about 900 meters to our Airbnb, located in the middle of town. It was a cute Patagonian-style cabin that was private and quiet, just steps away from the main street. We even had our own welcome committee greet us. Groceries are also very affordable, and the best variety and prices was at Supermercado El Chalten. We paid only $12 for all of this, including wine and meat. Back on the road to our next destination, so see you on the next trail.